Have you ever truly wondered who lives behind the closed doors of your seemingly quiet neighborhood? What secrets are hidden behind the smiles exchanged in the driveway or the friendly waves across the street? Today, we peel back the curtain of one such peaceful town, a place where the echo of tragedy has shattered the illusion of safety. Here, in the serene setting of Graham, Pennsylvania, a town nestled behind the comforting walls of weightless snow, a young, vibrant couple found brutally murdered in their own home. As we venture into the depths of this chilling case, ask yourself, are you really safe from the darkness lurking in the heart of your own community? On the morning of November 17, 2007, a chilling silence hung over the usually vibrant home of Brian and Beverly Moe. It was a silence that screamed something was terribly wrong. Their friend Stephen, who had arrived early for a planned fishing trip, felt the first pangs of unease when repeated knocks at the front door went unanswered. Concern morphed into alarm as he peered through a window, only to find a scene that would haunt him forever. Inside the cozy living room, where the couple had hosted countless joyful gatherings, the TV lay face down, shattered on the floor. Nearby, something far more horrifying, a glimpse of what appeared to be a body, ominously still, partially obscured by a blood-soaked blanket. It was approximately 8 a.m. when Stephen, his hands trembling, dialed 9911 on. The officers who arrived were met with a grim tableau. Brian and Beverly, beloved by all who knew them, were found lifeless, their lives brutally cut short in a town where such violence was thought to be impossible. Brian and Beverly Moe were the quintessence of a dream turned reality. Meeting during their college years at a mutual friend's party, they were instantly drawn to each other, their lives soon intertwining as seamlessly as their conversations. Beverly, with her radiant smile and athletic prowess, shone in every crowd. She was a multi-talented athlete who excelled in baseball and track, and had an uncanny ability to pick up languages like souvenirs from her travels. Brian, on the other hand, thrived on the edge, rock climbing, surfing, diving, each hobby more daring than the last. Together, they crafted a life rich with adventure and aspirations, setting down roots in Graham for its tranquil beauty and closeness to nature. Stephen, the friend who discovered the grim scene, was known for his reliability and calm demeanor. An engineer and a lifelong friend of Brian's, his shock at the scene before him was palpable, his distress genuine. Yet, in the intricate dance of crime and suspicion, even the most innocent connections require scrutiny. Then there's Daniel Tavares, a man whose complexities run deep and dark. His arrival in Graham was marked by whispers and wary glances. Known for his troubled past, including stints in prison and skirmishes with mental illness, Daniel's history painted a stark, unsettling contrast to his outward attempts at normalcy. His entanglement in the crime would unfold a narrative so intricate and disturbing, it would challenge the very perceptions of truth and justice in this small community. As the sirens wailed their arrival into the quiet morning of Graham, a scene of meticulous investigation began to unfold. Law enforcement quickly cordoned off the Moe residence, transforming it into a hive of forensic activity. The immediate response was swift and thorough, photographs snapped, fingerprints dusted, every detail cataloged. Among the chaos, the lifeless forms of Brian and Beverly told a silent tale of betrayal and violence. The first to fall under the weight of suspicion was Stephen, who had discovered the bodies. Interrogated for hours, his every memory of that morning was dissected. His alibi, set to go fishing with Brian, stood firm against the scrutiny, corroborated by his visibly shaken demeanor and cooperative nature. When his fingerprints and those found at the scene didn't match, and with no trace of gun residue on his person, the cloud of suspicion around him began to dissipate. Attention then turned to the neighborhood canvass, a routine that churned up more questions than answers. A breakthrough appeared in the form of a white pickup truck seen near the Moe's home around the time of the murders. a detail mentioned by a neighbor who was later interviewed. This clue led investigators to Jeremy Flint, a local known for his rough demeanor and criminal past. Flint, however, was soon ruled out. His alibi for the night of the murders was as solid as the walls of the alibi itself, placing him miles away from the scene. Each lead seemed only to deepen the mystery, painting a complex picture of a quiet town with undercurrents of hidden connections and potential motives. The investigation was a puzzle, with each piece meticulously examined in hopes of revealing the sinister truth lurking beneath the surface. In the labyrinth of any true crime investigation, the clues left behind can be as misleading as they are enlightening. At the Moe residence, the forensic team unearthed evidence that would initially puzzle and mislead the seasoned detectives. Among the most prominent was a distinct boot print found near the bodies, an imprint that seemed to promise a lead, but instead wandered into a cul-de-sac of confusion. This clue pointed investigators towards potential suspects with similar footwear, yet none matched the print in question. Equally perplexing was the discovery of a bloodied broom, found discarded in the corner of the living room. Its bristles were matted with dried blood, hinting at a hasty, panicked attempt to clean the scene. Initially, this suggested a perpetrator unfamiliar with forensic science, possibly someone from within the community. However, despite rigorous testing, the broom yielded no fingerprints, its handle wiped clean in a contradictory display of forethought and folly. The case's complexity deepened with the involvement of Jeremy Flint. Known to the police and bearing a reputation that preceded him, Flint's potential motive and proximity made him a compelling figure in the narrative. Yet this trail too proved a red herring. His alibi was unbreakable, verified by multiple witnesses, leaving the investigators to reconsider earlier assumptions. Compounding the confusion were the early witness accounts that were vague and often contradictory, clouded by the quiet panic that had gripped the town. One moment stood out, a neighbor's report of hearing muffled sounds resembling gunshots in the dawn hours, a detail that initially redirected the investigative compass toward local criminal elements. But as the day unfolded, these sounds could not be conclusively linked to the crime, adding another layer of fog to the already murky investigation waters. As the investigation wove through the heart of Graham, the community's fabric was frayed by shock and grief. Neighbors whispered in huddled groups, their faces etched with the sorrow of loss and the fear of the unknown. In these quieter moments, the camera might pan over the town's solemn gatherings, capturing the stark contrast between the serene landscape and the turmoil unfolding within. These pauses in the narrative allow the audience to absorb the gravity of Brian and Beverly's untimely deaths, reflecting on the ripple effects of crime that reach far beyond the victims themselves. Meanwhile, the investigation marched on, its tempo measured and deliberate. Just as the community began to find its breath, a new piece of evidence would surface, tightening the tension anew. Each clue, each testimony added layers to the story, carefully timed to keep viewers on the edge of their seats. The narrative structure crafted a meticulous balance. Just as one question seemed to find its answer, another mystery would unravel, propelling the investigation forward toward an ever-elusive truth. This rhythmic dance of information, woven with personal stories and forensic details, crafted a compelling narrative arc. As each episode closed, viewers were left yearning for the next piece of the puzzle, each twist in the tale deepening their engagement and anticipation for the resolution of this dark, winding journey through justice and injustice alike. In recounting the tragic story of Brian and Beverly Moe, it is imperative to tread with the utmost respect and sensitivity. The impact of their untimely deaths reverberated far beyond the immediate horror of the crime scene, touching the hearts of family, friends, and the Graham community at large. It is a poignant reminder that behind every true crime story, there are real people who continue to grieve and bear the scars of loss. As we delve into the details of this case, we do so with a commitment to dignity, focusing on honoring the memory of the victims rather than sensationalizing the violence they endured. The narrative consciously avoids lurid descriptions and exploitative imagery, instead presenting the facts with care and consideration. Furthermore, the portrayal of the Graham community in the aftermath of the crime highlights their unity and resilience. It shows how neighbors came together to support one another, reinforcing the human capacity for compassion in the face of tragedy. This approach not only respects the victims and those affected, but also serves as a testament to the strength and solidarity that can emerge from the darkest of times. By maintaining this ethical stance, we ensure that the story remains a respectful tribute to the lives of Brian and Beverly, and a thoughtful examination of the crime's impact, rather than an exercise in gratuitous details. As the tangled web of the Graham murder case began to unravel, the forensic evidence meticulously gathered at the scene played a pivotal role in steering the investigation toward its grim conclusion. The discovery of the unique boot print and the bloodied broom, initially misleading, eventually coalesced into a coherent story once linked with Daniel Tavares. His eventual confession, precipitated by an irrefutable match between his fingerprints and those found on crucial pieces of evidence, seemed to close the chapter on this harrowing case. However, true crime often leaves in its wake a trail of questions that linger in the air like the faint echo of doubts. Some elements of the investigation did not tie neatly with the confession. Why, for instance, were there no signs of forced entry? How did someone as calculating as Tavares allow such damning evidence as his fingerprints to remain at the scene? These ambiguities provide fertile ground for alternative theories. Could there have been an accomplice whose presence was overshadowed by Tavares's dominant role in the narrative? Was there a deeper motive that remained buried beneath Tavares's confessed reasons for the crime? The floor is now open to these alternative theories, inviting viewers, amateur sleuths, and professional investigators alike to ponder the possibilities. Such discourse not only keeps the case alive in public memory, but also underscores the complexity of criminal investigations, where not every answer satisfies every question. In this way, the conclusion of the case against Daniel Tavares is presented not as the end of the story, but as a pause in an ongoing conversation about justice, truth, and the many shades of human motive that lurk in the shadows of such tragedies. As we close the chapter on this haunting tale from Graham, Pennsylvania, it serves as a stark reminder of the hidden dangers that can lurk within even the most serene communities. This story challenges us to look beyond the surface, to question the tranquility, and to remain vigilant about the safety of our neighborhoods. I encourage each of you to reflect on this case and consider the safety measures in place in your own communities. Are there signs or behaviors that might warrant a second look? How well do you truly know your neighbors? Discussing these questions can foster a proactive approach to community safety, helping to prevent such tragedies in the future. I invite you to share your thoughts on this case and any personal safety strategies you have implemented in your own neighborhoods. Join the conversation online, share your stories, suggestions, and reflections. Together, we can build a network of informed and vigilant communities dedicated to safeguarding the peace and security of our homes. Remember, awareness is the first step towards prevention. Let's take that step together, ensuring our neighborhoods remain places where safety and community go hand in hand.